What better person to introduce the Sato Crimp Kit to our Let's Talk Hookup listeners than having Garry Sato himself do it. Good morning, Garry.
Morning, Pete. How you doing?
Great. You're here at Fisherman's Landing.
Yeah.
Waiting for the Royal Star to come in. You just came off an epic trip with your guys on the Royal Star, didn't you? Yes. Now, did you use the Sato Crimp when you were fishing?
Of course.
Well,
Exclusively.
There you go. Well, let's go ahead and take a demo and let's see how it works. Give us a demonstration.
Okay, I'll give you a quick little demo here. Let me tell you what we've got to work with. 200-pound Hollow Power Pro. Seaguar Blue Label, looks like here. Blue Label, 130 pound. So what we're going to do here first, Pete, is just do a quick little demo on how we get the mono or the fluorocarbon into the spectra. And in the Sato kit, I've got this little opener that I invented, just especially to help get the fluorocarbon into the spectra, because it's really tight. So it's this little bent wire. I don't know if you can see it. And in the kit, it comes in a little straw, just so you can not lose it. So what I'm going to do, I always advise that people, I'm going to put my glasses on here, always advise putting the mono or the fluorocarbon at least 4 to 5 feet into the spectra. I'm going to just do it for about a foot here or so, just for demonstration purposes.
So what you're doing basically now is opening up the hollow waste power.
I'm opening it up, relaxing the weave, basically.
Okay.
So I'm going to push it in, but there's a little trick I want to show. I'm going to push it in a little bit with my opener, and I'm going to get to where it starts separating, about like that. You see that right there? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get a lighter. The lighter doesn't come with the kit. It used to, but because of TSA and security things, I can't ship these anymore. So people can just get their own. It's just a little bic, and you just a little bit, just to sear the ends so it doesn't unravel. And it's going to be just a little bit of a bead there. You'll feel it with your fingers. That's all you need to do. If you do too much, it's going to close it up, okay?
Okay.
So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to push this up. And what we're doing is we're pulling the spectra over the wire opener, meaning we're pushing the spectra over the wire, not pushing the wire into the spectra. It's kind of like putting a sock on your foot, not putting your foot in the sock. So, and I always use these two fingers, and I want to keep the spectra straight. Some people do it this way, but I prefer to do it this way. I'll use this finger as my balancing finger to keep it out, and then I use the thumb and the middle finger to push it over. And I just push it about a 3/4 of an inch at a time, and it goes very quickly. And this is really a key step, especially when you get into the smaller sizes, of helping to work with the spectra. Now, this technique, you have to do this whether you use a crimp or whether you use a serve or a nail knot or anything. This is one of the primary steps in putting the connections together, unless you're just going to tie it together with a knot. So I'm just going to push it up here a little bit more.
And how far up do you generally want to go?
I want to do it usually between 4 and 5 feet. But
okay.
For demo purposes, you can see here that we've got it this much.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you take it out, you just break it out the wall.
So when you say 4 or 5 feet, is that for heavier line or any line?
Any line.
At 50, 40, or right. 200?
You always want to do everything exactly the same.
Okay.
It's repeatability, it's consistency. So whether you're doing 40 pound or you're doing 100 pound, you should always do it the same. The technique is the same, the instructions are the same, the process is always the same, no matter what size line or spectra you're going to use.
Okay.
Therefore, when you're out fishing, there's only one thing to remember, and that's the basic technique. Now, since we've got Seaguar Blue Label, in this particular brand, Seaguar makes Blue Label, they make Premier, they make a number of different sizes. What's important is the diameter. On whether it's Seagar or anybody else, you have to look at the diameter, and the diameter is only a starting point, Pete. This could change in the process, and it doesn't matter what company you buy it from. This diameter is only kind of a benchmark starting process. So the angler always has to keep that in mind, even though it says 130 pound, it might be a little fatter or it might be a little thinner. So you can't just take it as gospel as what it says. You have to be thinking about what you're doing here, because I don't want you to lose a fish of a lifetime just because you blindly just did what you saw on the label here. So in this case, I'm going to try the 130 pound crimp.
And what do you base that on? The diameter?
Yeah, the diameter,
which is
here.
0.046.
Right. Now, in the kit, I have an instruction card that comes with it. It's a reference card. On one side, it's got 4 little holes, 4 little circles, and it tells you on the plier what size, what hole you're supposed to use for what size crimp, okay? And then on the other side of the card, it's got the different line test sizes, the line diameters that should be working as a starting point, and also the inside diameter of each of the crimps that comes in the kit. So it's a good reference point for starting off. So we'll start with the 130 size crimp, and the way you put the crimp on the Spectra, there's another tool that I invented for the kit, which is a threader, crimp threader I call it. And what you do is you just put the crimp over the threader like that. You put the Spectra through the loop. Pull it through, and that saves a lot of time. It's one reason why I tell people they should have the kit, because it comes with all the little tools. If you didn't have that threader, it would take you literally hours to try and get that crimp on there.
If at all.
If at all.
Yeah.
And so now we got the crimp on there.
So all these items you show are included in the Sato Pro kit, correct?
Right, exactly. Now, the reason I've done all this is to make it very simple and easy. When I first invented this kit, or started putting this kit together, I didn't have a kit. What I was trying to do is I was trying to do all these things, and at the time I was just starting off long range fishing myself, and so I said, you know, I've got to figure out how to do this, and everybody else is going to have to figure out how to do this as well. If I go through it and work it out and do all the mistakes first, invent all the little tools, then all they've got to do is pick it up and go, instead of having to go to the store or the hardware store or trying to figure out what to do next. All the tools are here to do what I'm doing. Now, one of the things I forgot to tell you, when you cut mono or fluorocarbon, the pliers aren't very good. They squeeze and they pinch. There's going to be always going to be, you can feel it with your fingers, a barb or a fat part on the end of that fluorocarbon there. I don't know if you can see it, but
yeah,
it is not really good for pushing into the Spectra. So what you do is you get a razor blade or something sharp and just cut that part off there, and that cuts off that fat little nub.
And you cut it straight?
Cut it straight. And then what I do is, in the kit, there's a file that comes with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just round it off. The file that I've got here has got 4 different grits of sandpaper on it, which is really good. It makes it go really fast. And it just takes a moment. All you're doing is you're just smoothing it off. I'll start with the medium, and then I go to the little lighter. And then I go to the fine and just polish it off. It doesn't have to be a point. It just wants to be kind of like a bullet head. That's all it takes, something like that. Just a moment. And now we're just going to insert it. So now I want you to see how much we increase the diameter of the two sides of the spectra there, from the original to this is the relaxed size here.
Right.
You see that difference? It's almost more than double, I
Yeah.
think. Huh?
Oh yeah.
So this makes it really easy. Get that in there like that. And again, I'm going to use this finger, keep the spectra straight, and we just slide it right in.
And once again, you want to go
4 to 5
4
feet.
to 5 feet. We're just doing a couple feet here for demonstration
Right.
purposes. So make sure you do
But-
4 to 5 feet.
But see how quickly it goes in?
Oh yeah.
You know, you can do
Easy.
this. You could do this in the boat. You can do this. I've done it in the passenger seat of the car. My wife can do this. It's that simple.
It's really
Look at that. It's already inserted. Now it's ready for the crimp.
Look at that.
All right.
Okay.
So you just use your fingers, just smooth it out. Now there's our crimp right there. We'll pull the crimp down right to this point here.
And the trim slides very easily.
Right. Well, that's the part that doesn't have the mono or fluorocarbon. I was
Right,
going to get
there.
to that point right there.
So that's
This is-
right where the line comes. The
Right.
C-guard comes right into the.
Now, see, it's not going to slide over easily. It's not meant to slide over easily. If it slides over too easy, you have to stop right away because it's the wrong size. You want it to be tight. I've designed the crimp to go over this section to be tight, because what you want it to do is the crimp doesn't hold everything together. It merely keeps the front from buckling up like that. You don't want this front edge where the mono goes into the spectra to sock up like that. You want it to be tight. That's what keeps the Chinese finger cuff technique working here. Everything is clamping down on the fluorocarbon here. And the length of it increases. The length of the fluorocarbon inside, like for example, 2 feet would hold better than 1 foot, or 4 feet would hold better than 2 feet. So you got to keep that in mind. That's why the Chinese finger cuff works here.
So it's not the crimp that's the strength. It's the line inside the spectra,
It's
the
the
hollow.
spectra and the weave
Yeah.
holding it down that actually holds it on. I mean,
Okay.
actually right now, if I were to do a straight pull, I can't pull it out.
You can't pull it
It's
out.
holding
Yeah.
right there
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But the thing is when you're fishing, it's not always a straight pull like you see in the machines. The fish is pulling, the angler's pulling, the boat's going up and down, so you have this other dynamic going on, stretching and pulling, and that's where the possibility happens of something happening where this can sock up like this and then it slides out. So you want to keep this point secure. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, normally in the old days we used to wrap it around our hand like this and put the pliers on and push it down. But now, you know, I'm telling people, don't cut your hand, just get some kind of a tool, whether it be a piece of PVC or your lighter or something. Now, again, I'm going to use the tool to push it down. The way you figure out which hole to use is you find a hole where it's going to slide easily. Like that's the number 3 hole, that slides easily. The number 2 hole kind of gets stuck. So we're going to use the number 3 hole here. Third down from the top. We'll insert it in like that.
But you're not crimping.
No, we're not crimping. See, Pete, it's sliding through.
Right.
It's sliding through, and then we're just going to seat it right there.
So the crimp is not in the pliers, it's in front of the pliers.
Right, and the pliers are going to push it down.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to push it down.
And the tighter, the better, as long as it
Right.
slides, right?
And now, you're going to have to fight with it a little bit, but it does work. And the reason why you'll see now where I put that nub there, that little melted edge earlier with the lighter, it automatically stops it right at the end. You can do it without that, but sometimes you risk pushing the crimp all the way off the spectrum, and then you got to do it over. By doing that little melted end right there, gives you an automatic stop right at the right spot. Okay?
Perfect.
So now, we got the 130-pound crimp, and it's in place. We got to look at this here. What hole do we crimp it with now? It's the number 2 hole from the chart.
So where it says cavity specs, that's the holes.
Right, exactly. So
Okay.
that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Okay, so that was very simple. Now we're going to crimp the pliers. Pliers are going to crimp this crimp. We're going to do it twice. One on each side of the crimp. So we're going to take the crimp, stick it into the pliers, make sure that it's seated. Look at both sides. Make sure that it's seated in the grooves there. See the grooves? Now also, one thing, let me show. The cavities in the pliers are wedge shaped. They're not straight through, they're V-shaped. They're tighter on one side and wider on the other. And that's for a purpose, because we're crimping one side of the crimp each time, not the whole crimp at one time. So we just put it in flush with the edge, make sure that it's seated properly, grab it by the back end here, and just give it a firm. I'm not going to bottom it out. You'll see here when it get finished, they're not going to completely touch when I crimp it. It's just going to be just about like that.
You say a firm handshake.
A
is
firm
what
handshake.
you say, yeah.
Okay, we'll take it off. We'll take a look here, and there's going to be a little wing. You see that little wing there?
Yep.
That's all you want. You want a little wing. And what's happened is the plier concentrically pinched down, concentrically around. It didn't smash, it concentrically squeezed, and those little wings come out in the open spaces. So now we're going to crimp it the second time. We're going to flip it over, turn the pliers over. It's going to crimp this back side. You're going to turn the crimp 90 degrees so that the wings are now vertical, and we're going to do exactly the same thing again. Put it into the grooves, make sure same groove, number 2. Give it a firm handshake squeeze. Again, we're not bottoming out the pliers, just enough to give us what we need there. And now we're done with the crimping process. And I'm going to rotate it so you can see that there are 2 sets of wings there, and they're offsetting each other. It's going to kind of look like the tail fin on a rocket in a way, because they're going to be this way, not this way, but this way. Okay?
Okay. The difference between the starter kit and the pro kit.
The starter kit comes with 50 crimps from sizes 40 to 100. This is a pro kit. It's got 8 sizes of crimps. It goes. This particular one goes from 40 to 200, but the kits now on the market are going from 50 to 200, and they go from 50, 60, 80, 100, 120, 135, 150, 200. This is a kit out of the tackle store next door, so they've had this a number of years. But we make crimps that go all the way from the normal sizes from 40 to 300 pound sizes.
Right.
They're all brass.
All brass
now. No corrosion. They don't crack. They don't corrode. They don't rust. But both kits, both the starter kit and the pro kit, come with all the tools. The pliers, the instructions. There's illustrated instructions. The opener, the threader, some razor blades, the file,
the needles.
The needles are kind of expensive. I put a starter set of needles in the pro kit, but no needles in the starter kit, thinking that people can certainly upgrade their starter kit or their pro kit however they want to, because everybody kind of does a different thing.
I know Power Pro has a kit of needles, Daho needles.
Right.
Are those good needles?
Oh, that's what I put in the Sato kit as well.
So that's another thing that you can buy as a
yes.
sideline. But realistically, if you want to do this seriously, you're better off value-wise buying the pro kit.
If you're going to be a long ranger and go for the bigger tuna, 10 days or more, 8 days or more, I would say get the Pro Kit. If you're going to do summer fishing and you're thinking about getting into the longer stuff later, and budget is an issue, start with the starter kit and you can always build it up.
Yeah. How much is the starter kit?
The starter kit, I think, is around $135 to $140 depending on your dealer. And the Pro Kit is somewhere around the $260 range,
okay,
depending on your dealer.
But then again, you have a lot more crimps, a lot more variety, a lot more in it. So if you want to just try it out, get the starter kit,
sure,
and then build up from there. Buy a set of Daho needles, and there you go.
There you go. And you can get the Daho needles separately if you want to just customize your sizes.
Yes. I guarantee you, once you start working with this, you get hooked. It's fun. It's effective, it's very, very stealthy, and I think the Royal Star is pulling in right now with your big fish, Garry Big Fish Sato. So we want to thank you for showing us the kit. Congratulations on another successful trip down to catch big fish there. And again, SatoCrimpandWinder.com on the web. You can buy it directly from you.
A little bit, but I prefer you get from the dealers.
Okay.
It kind of helps them out.
And there's dealers all over Southern California. Longfin, Fisherman's Landing Tackle.
Shark Bait, Save on Tackle, Takas. Give them a call.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate the time.
All right, Pete, thanks.